Welcome to Nightmare Fuel Stories. Number broadcast anomaly, the radio tower looms over me, a skeletal giant against the twilight sky. I've seen it 1,000 times from a distance, but up close it's different, imposing. Almost alive in the way it creaks and groans as the wind passes through its metal bones. The chain-link fence surrounding the compound had been easy enough to bypass, just a hole someone else had cut long ago, now barely concealed by overgrowth. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm a radio frequency specialist, or at least I was, before the budget cuts at the university. Now I'm just another unemployed academic with too much time and too many questions. This particular question has been nagging at me for months. Why is Tower 7 still broadcasting when it's been officially decommissioned for over a decade? The first time I noticed the signal was during a routine scan of local frequencies. A faint pulse at 91.3 FM, nothing but static and occasional bursts of what sounded like fragmented speech. According to every official record, Tower 7 had been shut down in 2013 after the regional broadcast network consolidated their operations. The property was abandoned, equipment supposedly removed, power cut off. Yet here I am, standing at the base of a tower that shouldn't be active, with my handheld frequency analyzer showing a clear signal emanating from somewhere inside the small control building ahead of me. The sun has nearly set now, and I switch on my flashlight, sweeping the beam across the cracked concrete path leading to the door. The building is a simple one-story concrete structure, utilitarian and weathered. Graffiti marks most of the exterior walls, the usual tags and crude drawings you'd expect at an abandoned site. The metal door is rusted around the edges but surprisingly intact. I expected it to be locked, maybe even sealed, but when I pull the handle, it opens with an eerie ease, as if someone has been maintaining the hinges. The air inside is stale but not as musty as I anticipated. My flashlight beam cuts through the darkness, revealing a space that looks nothing like an abandoned facility should. There's dust, yes, and some debris, but the equipment, the broadcast consoles, the monitors, the switchboards, they're all still here. Some even have small indicator lights glowing in the darkness. That's impossible. The power should have been cut years ago. I move deeper into the room, my analyzer picking up a stronger reading of the 91.3 signal. It's definitely coming from here. The main broadcast console sits against the far wall, and as I approach, I notice something that makes my skin crawl. The power indicators are lit, showing active transmission. "Hello," I call out, immediately regretting breaking the silence. My voice echoes through the room, bouncing off concrete walls and metal equipment. No response, of course. I'm alone here, or at least I should be. I set my backpack down and pull out my laptop, connecting it to the main console through an adapter. If I can access the system, maybe I can figure out what's broadcasting and why. The console is an older model, but familiar enough. I've worked with similar systems during my time at the university's radio station. The screen flickers to life, displaying a simple interface that looks straight out of the early 2000s. The transmission log shows continuous broadcasting for, I blink, not believing what I'm seeing, 3791 consecutive days, over 10 years of uninterrupted transmission, since the day the tower was supposedly decommissioned. I scroll through the log looking for what exactly is being broadcast. The entries are cryptic, just timestamps and code numbers. No audio files, no program names, just TX-7319, followed by a timestamp, repeated every hour on the hour. A chill runs through me that has nothing to do with the night air. I reach for my portable radio and tune it to 91.3 FM. Static fills the small speaker, but underneath it I can make out something else, a voice, distant and distorted. I turn up the volume and hold the radio closer to my ear. 17-913, sequence, return, 17-9, numbers, just a series of numbers being recited in a monotone voice. I've heard of number stations before, shortwave radio stations that broadcast encrypted messages, often just sequences of numbers, believed to be meant for spies or military personnel. But those are intentional operations, not forgotten towers broadcasting to no one. I check the transmission equipment more carefully. The system is connected to an uninterruptible power supply, a serious one, industrial grade. But even the best UPS couldn't last 10 years. I follow the power cables and discover they led through a small access door I hadn't noticed before. The door opens to a narrow staircase leading downward. This isn't on any of the facility blueprints I reviewed before coming here. Tower 7 shouldn't have a basement level. I hesitate at the top of the stairs. The smart thing would be to leave, to report this to someone. The FCC maybe, or the property owners. But the academic in me, the researcher who's been looking for something meaningful since losing my position, pushes me forward. I need to know. The staircase descends about 20 feet before opening into a larger room. Unlike the broadcast room above, this space is immaculate. No dust, no signs of abandonment. The walls are lined with server racks, all humming with activity. In the center sits a generator system that appears to be powering everything. But it's what's beyond the generator that stops me in my tracks. A glass wall divides the room, and behind it is what can only be described as a living space. A bed, a desk, a small kitchenette, and sitting at the desk, back to me, is a figure. My heart pounds in my chest. I was supposed to be alone here. The facility is abandoned, that's what every record indicates. I consider retreating, but before I can move, the figure turns. It's a man, probably in his 60s, with a gaunt face and eyes that seem too large for his skull. He wears what looks like an old broadcast technician's uniform, faded and worn but clean. He doesn't seem surprised to see me. Instead, he smiles, a gesture that doesn't reach those oversized eyes, and gestures for me to approach the glass. Against my better judgment, I do. "Visitor," he says, his voice coming through an intercom system beside the glass. "It's been a while since we've had a visitor." "Who are you?" I ask, my voice steadier than I expected. "This facility is supposed to be decommissioned." He laughs, a dry sound like rustling paper. "Is that what they're saying now? Decommissioned? A nice, clean word, better than contained or quarantined, I suppose. What are you talking about?" "Who's they?" He ignores my question, instead pointing to my radio, which is still emitting the number sequence. "Are you listening? You should be writing these down. They're important." "What are the numbers for?" "Coordinates," he says simply. "Return coordinates." "Return coordinates for what?" His expression changes then, the false pleasantness falling away to reveal something harder, more desperate. "For whoever finds them, for whoever can understand them. They keep changing, the numbers. They're trying to find the right combination, the right ears." I take an involuntary step back. "Who is they? Why are you down here?" "I'm the keeper," he says, as if it's the most obvious thing in the world. "Someone has to maintain the equipment, ensure the transmission continues. They chose me, said I had the right susceptibility." I look around the underground room again, noting details I missed before. The server racks aren't standard broadcasting equipment. They're custom-built, with components I don't recognize. And the generator, it's unlike any I've seen, with no visible fuel source. "How is all this powered?" I ask. The man, the keeper, smiles again. "They provide what's needed, as long as the transmission continues." A sick feeling grows in my stomach. None of this makes sense. A secret underground facility, a man living in isolation, mysterious, they providing power for an endless broadcast of numbers. "I'm going to report this," I say, trying to sound authoritative. "This is illegal broadcasting, unauthorized use of—" "No one will believe you," he interrupts. "They've tried before, others like you who found this place." The authorities come, they look around the upper level, find nothing unusual. The entrance to this room closes when unauthorized personnel are present. They'll think you're delusional. "Then I'll bring them here, show them exactly. You won't find your way back," he says with certainty. "Not unless they want you to, and they only want specific people. People like me, people like you." "What do you mean, people like me?" He presses his hand against the glass. "You heard it, didn't you? Not just static. You heard the voice beneath. Most people just hear static on 91.3, but some, the susceptible ones, they hear the numbers." I want to deny it, but he's right. I've been scanning frequencies for weeks before coming here, and something about that particular signal had called to me. I become obsessed with it, needed to find its source. "What happens if the broadcast stops?" I ask, dreading the answer. The keeper's face contorts with fear. "It doesn't stop, it can't stop. They're waiting for the right sequence, the right combination. If we stop before they find it." He trails off, looking at something over my shoulder. I turn, but there's nothing there, just the server racks and the staircase I came down. "You should leave now," he says suddenly, his tone urgent. "They know you're here, they're curious about you." "Who is they?" I demand, my patience wearing thin. The keeper just shakes his head. "Go, but you'll be back. Once you've heard the numbers, once they know you can hear them, you'll be back." I want to argue, to demand real answers, but an overwhelming sense of dread floods through me. The air in the room feels heavier, charged with something I can't explain. The lights flicker briefly, and in that moment of darkness, I swear I see shapes moving between the server racks, tall, thin shapes that have no place in reality as I understand it. I back toward the stairs, unwilling to turn my back on the room. The keeper watches me with those two large eyes, his expression a mixture of pity and resignation. "The numbers will follow you now," he calls as I reach the stairs. "Listen for them, write them down. It might be you who finds the right sequence." I climb the stairs as quickly as I can without falling, emerge into the main broadcast room, and grab my backpack. The radio is still playing the number sequence, louder now, more insistent. I switch it off and shove it deep into my pack. Outside, the night has fully settled, and the tower above me seems to stretch impossibly high into the starless sky. I use my flashlight to find my way back to the fence, slip through the same hole I entered through, and practically run to my car parked a quarter-mile down the service road. Only when I'm inside with the doors locked do I allow myself to breathe normally again. I start the engine and drive away, watching the tower recede in my rearview mirror until it's just a blinking red light in the distance. 3 days have passed since my visit to Tower 7. I've tried to forget what I saw, what I heard, but the keeper's words haunt me. The numbers will follow you now. I didn't believe him. How could numbers follow someone? But then I started noticing them, everywhere. It began innocuously enough, a digital clock reading 1713, the same numbers I'd heard in the broadcast. Then my grocery bill came to $79.13. The temperature that day peaked at 79 degrees. Small coincidences, I told myself, nothing to worry about, but then they became impossible to ignore. I woke at exactly 1:17 a.m. 3 nights in a row. My phone battery stopped at 17% despite being plugged in. I received exactly 79 emails one day, 13 text messages the next. The numbers were surrounding me, inserting themselves into my daily life with a precision that defied probability. Worst of all, I began hearing the broadcast everywhere, not just on my radio, which I'd left unplugged and buried in a drawer, but through my computer speakers, my TV, even my refrigerator's gentle hum seemed to carry the monotone voice reciting those same numbers. I tried to research Tower 7 to find any information about its true purpose. The official records maintained it was simply an old radio tower, one of many decommissioned when digital broadcasting became the norm. No mention of an underground facility, no reference to a keeper, and certainly nothing about mysterious entities controlling the broadcast. In desperation, I reached out to former colleagues at the university, asking vague questions about unusual broadcasting phenomena. Most ignored me or offered platitudes about pirate radio stations. One, however, Dr. Eleanor Vance from the Department of Electrical Engineering, responded with interest. "Unusual broadcasting patterns have been my side research for years," she wrote. "I'd love to hear more about what you've found. Can we meet?" That's how I find myself sitting across from Eleanor at a quiet cafe, far from campus, far from Tower 7. She's older than me, with streaks of gray in her dark hair and the intense focus of someone who's spent decades peering at waveforms and signal patterns. "So," she says after I've given her a sanitized version of my discovery, omitting the keeper and the underground facility, "you found an active signal from a supposedly decommissioned tower. And now you're hearing the same number sequence everywhere." I nod, watching her carefully. "Does that sound familiar to you?" Eleanor takes a long sip of her coffee. "More familiar than I'd like to admit." "You're not the first person to come to me with this particular experience." My heart races. "There are others." She corrects. "Over the years, I've encountered 6 individuals who described almost exactly what you're describing. A signal that shouldn't exist, numbers that follow them, voices that emerge from background noise." "What happened to them?" I ask, though I'm not sure I want to know. Eleanor's expression darkens. 2 were institutionalized, diagnosed with schizophrenia or similar conditions. 1 committed suicide, the others, she hesitates, they disappeared. "Disappeared? What do you mean?" "Exactly that. They stopped responding to messages, stopped showing up to work or classes. When authorities checked their residences, they found nothing amiss, no signs of struggle, no evidence of planned departure. They were simply gone." I feel sick. "And you think this is connected to the broadcasts they heard?" "I think," Eleanor says carefully, "that there are frequencies humans aren't meant to perceive, and entities that communicate through those frequencies. Sometimes, for reasons we don't understand, certain people become attuned to these frequencies. They start as background noise, then become clearer, more insistent. Like being groomed," I murmur, remembering the keeper's words about susceptibility. Eleanor nods. "Precisely like that. The question is, groomed for what?" I don't have an answer, and neither does she. We sit in silence for a moment, the cafe's ambient noise suddenly threatening to resolve into that monotone voice, those same numbers. "Have you been writing them down?" Eleanor asks suddenly. "The numbers," I shake my head. "The keeper," I stop, realizing I've said too much. "The keeper," Eleanor leans forward, her interest piqued. "You spoke to someone at the tower. There's no point hiding it now." I tell her everything: the underground facility, the glass wall, the gaunt man who claimed to be maintaining the broadcast for mysterious entities. Instead of dismissing me as delusional, Eleanor pulls out a small notebook and begins writing rapidly. "This confirms several theories I've had. The keeper is new information, though. In all my research, no one has ever reported direct contact with a human intermediary." "You believe me?" I ask, relief washing over me. "I believe something very real is happening to you," she says carefully. "Whether it's exactly as you perceive it is another question, but the pattern is consistent with other cases I've studied. So what do I do? How do I make it stop?" Eleanor closes her notebook and looks at me with genuine sympathy. I don't know if you can, but I think you should start writing down the numbers. If nothing else, it might help us understand what's being communicated. And if I find the right sequence the keeper mentioned, she doesn't answer immediately, weighing her words. Then we might learn what these entities want, why they're reaching out through our technology, seeking susceptible minds. I leave the cafe with a small notebook Alina gave me, dedicated to recording the numbers as they appear. It feels like surrender, like acknowledging that whatever has attached itself to me isn't going away. But it also feels like taking control, however small, of my situation. 2 weeks have passed, the notebook is nearly full. Pages and pages of the same numbers in different combinations. 17, 9, 13, 79, 17, 13, 913, 1379. They appear everywhere now so frequently that I've stopped being surprised. I've lost my appetite. Sleep comes in brief, fitful bursts, always interrupted at 1:17 a.m. by the sound of static from electronics that aren't turned on. I've stopped going out except to meet Alina, who analyzes my number sequences, looking for patterns, meaning, anything that might explain what's happening. There's definitely a mathematical progression, she tells me during our latest meeting. The intervals between certain number combinations are decreasing according to a specific formula. It's as if what? I prompt when she trails off. As if it's counting down, she finishes, her expression grave. Counting down to what? I don't know, but at the current rate of acceleration, something will happen in approximately 3 days. 3 days, the thought sits like ice in my stomach. I need to go back to the tower, I say suddenly. Alina looks alarmed. That's exactly what you shouldn't do. If these entities are trying to lure you somewhere, the tower is almost certainly their destination. But the keeper might have answers. He's been there for years, maintaining the broadcast. He must know what happens when the right sequence is found. Or he's part of whatever trap they're setting, Alina counters. Think about it, Daniel, a man living in isolation for a decade, devoted to a mysterious broadcast. How do you know he's even human anymore? The question catches me off guard. I hadn't considered that possibility. The keeper had seemed human, if strange and gaunt, but those eyes, too large for his skull. Had they always been that way, or had something changed him? I need answers, I insist. I can't live like this, with the numbers consuming everything. If going back to Tower 7 is the only way to understand what's happening to me, then that's what I'll do. Alina sighs, recognizing the determination in my voice. Then I'm coming with you, 2 sets of eyes, 2 perspectives. If something happens, at least one of us might make it back to document it. I want to refuse, to protect her from whatever awaits at the tower, but selfishly, I'm relieved not to face it alone. We agree to meet tomorrow night, to drive to Tower 7 together, and confront whatever entity is behind the broadcast. As I leave the cafe, my phone buzzes with a text message from an unknown number. When I open it, there's only a sequence of numbers, 17 minutes, 9 minutes, 13 minutes, 79. Beneath it, 2 words, come alone. I didn't tell Alina about the text. I should have, but something stopped me. The same compulsion that's now driving me back to Tower 7 in the middle of the night, alone, exactly as instructed. The tower looks different tonight. The red warning lights that normally blink at intervals along its structure are steady now, casting an unbroken crimson glow over the surrounding area. The chain-link fence vibrates slightly, though there's no wind. The hole I used before is larger now, as if something has forced its way through from the inside, tearing the metal wider. I slip through easily and approach the control building. The door stands open, light spilling out from within, not the harsh beam of my flashlight from before, but a soft, pulsating glow that shifts between shades of blue and green. Inside, the broadcast equipment is active, lights flashing in sequences that match the numbers I've been recording. The main console screen displays a countdown, 3:17 and 9 seconds remaining. 3 hours, 17 minutes, 9 seconds. The access door to the underground facility is wide open, the staircase beyond illuminated by the same shifting light. I descend, each step feeling both like a choice and an inevitability. I've been moving toward this moment since I first heard the signal. The server room below has transformed. The racks still line the walls, but they've changed, merged with something organic, pulsing with what looks like circulatory systems threaded through the electronic components. The generator at the center is gone, replaced by a column of light that stretches from floor to ceiling, containing within it suspended shapes that constantly shift and reform. And the glass wall, the barrier that separated me from the keeper, is gone. The keeper himself sits at the desk in his living space, but he too has changed. His body is thin to the point of emaciation, skin stretched tight over a frame that seems more angular than human anatomy should allow. Those 2 large eyes are now entirely black, reflecting the pulsating light like oil slicks. "You came," he says, his voice unchanged despite his transformation. "Good. They've been waiting. What's happening to you? I ask, unable to look away from his distorted form. Evolution, he replies simply. Adaptation. They require a physical anchor in our reality. I've been accommodating them. Who are they? What do they want? The keeper gestures to the column of light. See for yourself. They're more visible now with the sequence nearly complete. The veil thins. I force myself to look directly at the column. The shapes within resolve briefly into forms that hurt my mind to perceive. Geometries that shouldn't be possible. Appendages that bend in too many directions. Features that seem to exist in multiple places simultaneously. They come from somewhere else, the keeper explains. A reality adjacent to ours but governed by different physical laws. They discovered our broadcasts decades ago, learned to piggyback on our signals. But crossing over completely, that requires a beacon, a perfect sequence that opens the way. And you've been helping them find this sequence. Why? The keeper's black eyes fix on me, because they showed me what waits on the other side. Knowledge, evolution, freedom from the constraints of our limited existence. Or they lied to you, I counter, used you to establish a foothold here. He shrugs, the motion unsettlingly fluid. Perhaps, but it doesn't matter now. The sequence is nearly complete and they need a new keeper. I've served my purpose. I'm changing, becoming something else. But they need someone stable, someone newly attuned to maintain the connection during the transition. Horror washes over me as I understand. They want me to replace you. They chose you the moment you heard the signal. Every number that followed you, every coincidence that brought you back here, it was preparation, attunement. I back away toward the stairs. I'm not staying here, I'm not becoming, whatever you are. The keeper laughs, a sound that splinters into multiple tones. You don't understand, you're already changing, haven't you noticed? The loss of appetite, the insomnia, the heightened perception, your body is preparing itself. I want to deny it, but I can feel the truth of his words. My skin has felt too tight for days, my senses increasingly sharp, detecting patterns and frequencies that should be imperceptible. What happens when the countdown reaches 0? I ask, though I suspect I already know. The door opens, the keeper says, not just here, but at every point where the signal has been received and acknowledged. Every device that has played those numbers becomes a potential entry point. I think of my radio, my phone, my computer, all the devices that have transmitted the numbers to me, all potential doorways. How many people have heard the signal? How many are susceptible? The keeper's face splits into something approximating a smile. More than you might think. The susceptible ones are rare, but not as rare as they once were. Technology has made us more receptive, more attuned to frequencies beyond our natural range. They've been patient, building their network of receivers over decades. The countdown on my phone reads 2:13 and 17 seconds. The number's shifting, but always the same digits. I need to warn people, I say, more to myself than to the keeper. No one will believe you, he replies. Even if they did, it's too late to stop what's coming. The best you can do is prepare, adapt, become useful to them. They reward those who serve willingly. I look at his distorted form, his blackened eyes, and see no reward worth accepting. And if I destroy the tower, cut off the broadcast, for the first time fear crosses the keeper's face. Then they would be displeased. The transition would be chaotic, uncontrolled. Those who have been prepared might not survive the process. A plan forms in my mind. If I can reach the main generator, disable the power source for the broadcast, maybe I can disrupt whatever is about to happen. It's a desperate move, likely futile, but it's the only resistance I can offer. I turn and sprint for the stairs, expecting the keeper to pursue me, but he remains seated, watching with those old-slick eyes. They're already here, he calls after me. In the signal, in the numbers. In you, I emerge into the main broadcast room and head straight for the power controls. The equipment is more alien now, merged with the same organic components I saw downstairs, but I can still identify the main power junction. I grab a heavy metal toolbox from a nearby shelf and swing it at the junction box with all my strength. Sparks fly as metal connects with metal. The lights flicker but don't go out. I swing again and again until the junction box cracks open, exposing a mass of wires and pulsating tissue-like material within. A high-pitched whine fills the air, painful in its intensity. The console screens flicker, the countdown momentarily freezing before resuming. Not enough damage, I need to do more. I turn to look for something else to use, something more destructive when I see them. Shapes emerging from the shadows of the room, tall and thin and wrong, just like the glimpses I caught in the server room. They move with a stuttering gait, as if adjusting to our reality's physics. My phone buzzes in my pocket. The countdown reads 1:17 and 9 seconds. I run outside, hoping to put distance between myself and whatever is manifesting inside, but I stop short at what I see. The tower above is changing, its metal structure flowing and reforming, extending tendrils toward the night sky like a massive antenna. The red lights have spread, covering the entire structure now, pulsing in time with the countdown. And in the distance, other lights are responding, cell towers, satellite dishes, radio antennas across the landscape, all glowing with the same red pulse. The network is larger than just Tower 7. It's everywhere. My car. I need to reach my car, drive away, warn Alina at least. I sprint toward the fence, but before I reach it, my phone rings. Unknown number. I shouldn't answer, but my hand moves of its own accord, accepting the call. Daniel, it's Alina's voice, but wrong somehow flatter, with an undertone that sounds like multiple voices speaking in unison. Where are you? I've been waiting. Alina, what's happened to you? I've been enlightened, she replies. They showed me what's coming. It's beautiful, Daniel. You should see it. You will see it. You're one of them now, I whisper. I'm more than I was, she corrects, as you will be. The sequence is nearly complete. Don't fight it. The transition is easier if you accept it. I end the call and look at my phone's screen. The countdown continues, 0, 79 and 13 seconds. There's nowhere to run. If Alina has been taken, if the signal is everywhere, there's no escape. I could destroy my phone, but how many other devices are around me, ready to broadcast the final sequence? How many have I already been exposed to? I sink to my knees on the concrete path, watching the tower pulse above me. The shapes I saw inside are emerging now, moving through the walls as if they're no more substantial than mist. They gather around me, their forms constantly shifting, features rearranging in ways my mind struggles to process. One reaches for me, a limb that both is and isn't an arm extending toward my face. I try to recoil, but my body no longer responds to my commands. The limb touches my forehead and reality fractures. I see them, their world, their reality. A place of impossible geometry and beautiful chaos where thought and matter are the same, where time moves in multiple directions simultaneously. I see what they want, not conquest, not destruction, but merger. They've been alone in their reality, separated from others by the fundamental laws of physics, until they discovered our broadcasts penetrating the barrier between worlds. They want to bring their reality into ours to create something new, neither fully theirs nor ours, but a hybrid space where both can exist. And they need anchors, human minds attuned to their frequencies, human bodies adapted to serve as conduits. The Keeper was right. I've been chosen, prepared, made receptive. The numbers weren't just a signal, they were changing me, rewriting my perception to accommodate their reality. My phone buzzes one final time, 0 and 0 seconds. Around me the air splits open, not just here but everywhere the signal has reached. Through the fractures I glimpse their world pouring into ours and ours into theirs. The tower above stretches impossibly, its metal structure flowing upward until it punctures the very fabric of the sky. And I feel myself changing, my consciousness expanding to accommodate new dimensions of thought, my body reshaping to house something beyond human. It hurts, this transformation, this evolution the Keeper promised. It hurts, but beneath the pain is something else, a vast, cold excitement at what I'm becoming. In my last moments of purely human thought, I realized the truth. There was never any escape. From the moment I heard the signal, from the moment the numbers found me, this was inevitable. I wasn't investigating an anomaly, I was fulfilling a purpose. I wasn't finding Tower 7, it was finding me. The entities surround me now, their forms merging with mine, their thoughts infiltrating my consciousness. And as my humanity recedes, replaced by something older and vaster and hungrier, I understand my new role. I am the new Keeper. The anchor point, the gateway, and the broadcast has only just begun.